Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be looking at Quant. This is going to be a higher time frame video, so there will also be a lower time frame video which will be linked above. So make sure that you check that out if that is what you're interested in. Let's get into the price action and see what's going on. Okay, so we can see that we've just sort of been moving sideways here. This makes it difficult to actually plot exactly where this is within a sequence, so we need to just bear that in mind. So the way that I'm currently looking at this count here is that there's two options: that either we are still in a corrective structure and we're looking to push to the downside one more time, or alternatively we could have a low in place here and we could be looking for a bigger move that to the upside, something like this. So these are the two options that I'm currently tracking with. Obviously, like I said, we don't have all the information here, so we just need to have an open mind with this. Now, if we wanted to argue the bearish case, what we'd be looking for would be something like this, where this is potentially a W, this is an X wave, and then we're actually looking for a Y wave. Now, this Y wave could potentially push down to 121, which would be here at this 1881. We do have some other interesting levels here. This 0.618 would be a minimum that we'd be looking for as a Y wave. Now, we do also have 786 towards this 3209 and this 854 at this 2708. So these are all areas that this could look to break down into and find support. Now, what we would be looking for here effectively would be a three-wave move to the downside. Now, it is possible that we are forming the first part of this, where this would actually become an A wave. Then we'd be looking for an additional three-wave move up and another move to the downside, looking to actually push into this level. What we could also argue here is that this X wave is not completed. So if we are looking at this bearish count here, what we'd be looking for is the potential that if this X wave has not completed into this high here, we could see something more along these lines here, where we actually treat this as a bigger triangle here, where this is A, B, looking for C, D, and an E. So this is something we need to just keep an eye on, that if we do actually form three-wave structure here, we could see something like this as A, B, C, looking to potentially target up towards this 168 to this 164 region. Now, if this is the case, what we could see is price action move up into these levels in a three-wave move before looking for an additional D wave, which could then look to actually drop down towards this 118 to this 116 level, and then finally having an E wave back up here towards the zone of this 148 level. Now, these are obviously just based off of fibs. We would have to see exactly how price action plays out here and see exactly how this develops, because we can also look at this triangle slightly different. Now, if we are looking at this triangle slightly different, what we could see here is that this triangle could be the other way around. So we're going to discuss that in a second, but we're going to go over this the bearish scenario first. So this is the secondary option that I'm looking for that bearish scenario, is that we could actually be developing a triangle, though we wouldn't have confirmation. Confirmation only comes on this D wave here. Now, if we're looking at the possibility that this X wave could be completed, and rather what we could have here is, instead of looking at this as WX, what we could be saying is that this could also be an A wave, this could be a B wave here, and we could be looking for a C wave. So because of that fact, we need to be mindful that if we do look at it in this way, we could actually see something like this looking to play out. So this is what we need to be cautious of, is that if we fail to actually get back above this 188.90, we could actually start to see rejection from this zone. So this 188.90 to this 146.65 could be a potential area that we could look for rejection. Now, what we'd be saying here then is that basically we have this as a potential flat correction here, or alternatively that we have this as a 1-2, and then this is looking to actually form an additional 1-2. Now, if we want to say that this is a five-wave move, we'd have to say it's a diagonal, but if it's a diagonal, it could also just be ABC. So we need to just bear that in mind, that there's a couple of ways of reading this. However, if we want to argue this is a corrective structure, we could also potentially call this just a WX and then a Y wave here. So that could tie into that idea of this being a flat. Now, if it is a flat, what we could see is something like this, where this becomes A, B, and C, where we see a push up towards this 167.59 in this yellow internal count here. We're going to go over this idea of this bigger ABC to the downside. Now, actually, this does tie into that count as well. If we are instead looking to break down as a Y wave, we could see this as A, B, and C down to the $69 region before looking for this to form an additional B wave to the upside, failing to break above this A wave high. So if we do form something like this, A, B, and C, that could tie into that idea of looking for this Y wave to the downside. However, like I said, within the count, we need to just be careful of that possibility of this actually breaking down rather as a 5-wave move. So this potential will be the same. The difference will be here that if we did have to get a move back up to the 0.618 up here, which would be towards this level of this 162.80, we could then see price action start to break down. Now that third wave target would actually be this 40 cent 59. Breaking down towards that zone would then tie in with the idea of this 5-wave move, and would be looking for this additional force towards this 81.50, this 81 to this 56 area, before looking for that continuation to the downside here. Now this would actually push us into this zone of this 135.74 to this 29.17. So this wouldn't be at this 1-to-1 level, but it would bring us down here towards this 786, which would be more than enough, particularly the fact that we've taken this as a low point. It would be sufficient to actually say the move was completed if we see a breakdown into these levels. Now, another way that I want to just discuss this move here is that if we are looking at this move slightly different, we could also argue that this whole move is a triangle from further back here, where this is actually A, this is B, we've got a C wave now, we're looking for a D wave and E wave. And now the key thing here is that if this is a triangle in this way, what we would then see is a break to the upside. So we'd be expecting to complete this E wave and then looking to push to the upside here. Now, if we're looking at this as a triangle in this way, rather, what we do not want to do is actually lose this 96.83, this C wave low, and then we also don't want to break above this B wave high here of this 228 level. Now, if we do look for a simple 3-wave move to the upside here, what we could see is this D wave could actually look to reject here at this 168 to this 164 area. If we get a 3-wave move up here, we get another 3-wave move back to the downside, maintaining the C wave level, possibly towards this zone of this 118 to this 116 level. This could actually tie in with the idea that this whole move has been a triangle, and then what we would be expecting is continuation to the upside here. Now, if this is a triangle here, there is no real way of us to actually, project a target to the upside, so we'd have to monitor the internal counts if that is the case. So we're gonna have to just take that one step at a time and see exactly how it plays out. So this area here is a bit tricky because we can count it in multiple ways as different triangles. We're also going to go over a different way that we could possibly count this as well as a triangle. Okay, so now the bullish way that we'd be looking at this count would be arguing that we have a low in place here, and this would be valid for as long as we continue to maintain this 40-15 area. Now, what we would be saying here is that potentially we have completed this as a B wave, where this is ABC completed, and we're looking for the C wave, which could look to take us up towards the zone of this $549 area. Now, as well as that, we do have some other zones that this could look to actually fall short at. So I'm going to just show the 0.618 here at this 282. We have the 0786 towards this 378, and the 854 would tie in with actually creating a double top here. But what we could potentially expect here is this 1-to-1 to actually play out. So I would be keeping an eye on this. Obviously, within the internals here, we might get a better idea of where exactly this is going. Now, this could always develop into an impulse, but it would have to move up much higher towards this $1,600 level, in which case what we'd then argue is that we have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and looking for a bigger 5-wave move to the upside. So we need to just be aware this is a possibility, but it has to move up a lot higher. If this is the case, we'd want to see this move starting to get quite strong in this next leg if it is going to be a wave 3. You want to see volume starting to actually pick up as this move is pushing up with this third wave, if this is the case and we actually are in a third wave. Until we actually get confirmation of the structure, though, we need to just be careful of the bearish scenarios that are still at hand. Okay, so the other thing that we could also say is that possibly that this B wave is not completed as well. So if this B wave is not completed, this ties in with the idea of this flat. So still looking at that possibility that we could have a flat correction here where this is A, B, and C. So now if this is the case and we are looking for this as a C wave to the upside, 1-to-1 target would actually be here at this 167. We do have some potential extensions where if this did went high, if it does go higher, we could have this 175, or this 188 be a target zone. So we'd have to keep an eye on those levels as well. If we did look to truncate, what we could potentially see is a move into the 0.618 as a 5-wave move, but we got to be careful with truncations, because if we had a 5-wave move like this, we'd have to be careful we didn't just have a deeper retracement here, a 3, 4, and a 5, and then it looks to overshoot this slightly. So that's what's dangerous about truncations. But technically speaking, if we truncate, we could even look to complete lower towards this 135 if it is going to be a running flat here. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that if that actually is the case. Now, if we are arguing that this is the case here, where this is actually not completed here, we could actually see this still drop down for this C wave. So this C wave would be at the 69. Now, if I actually overlay this again, we could see that they would be here towards this zone of the 0.702. Now, obviously, if this does look to fall short slightly, this golden pocket area here of this 77.99 to this 73.77 area would be an interesting zone I would be keeping an eye on. If we do look to extend down slightly, this 58.24 would be the next zone that I would be having a look at. Now, within this internal bit here, we can also argue that we have something like this as a B wave triangle here. Now, this obviously would mean that we're going to be range bound once again for a while. So this is why it's a bit tricky here with this structure. It can be a few things. So we're going to have to just monitor it and let it develop a little bit more structure for a bit more certainty that we are actually within either one of these counts. Now, the idea of this as a triangle would be the same sort of thing. Invalidation would come by crossing this 163 and this lower point here of this 96.63. So if we actually cross either of these points, it would invalidate the idea of a triangle. However, if we just form this as ABC, what we could see is a move up here. So I've got some 618 targets here. So the green one is of the B wave here, and the yellow one is of the A wave. So we have this 135.84 to this 133.858. Now we also have the yellow count, which is of the A wave here, which would be this 138.21 to this 135.80. Now, if we do see a 3-wave move up here, what we could then see is that additional D wave to the downside. If we did move up to the yellow area, what we would then be looking for as a potential D wave location would be this 110 to this 109. If we did see that, what we could then see is this E wave play out towards this 129 to this 128. So now I'm just trying to build this based off of a couple of trend lines that we have here. What we could see is that if we are looking at the C wave developing, it could actually look to hit this top trend line here. Which obviously, depending on how long this takes, would be somewhere within this zone. So this would actually mean the C wave slightly higher. Now, if this C wave does go higher here, what this would mean is it could change where these D waves and E waves are looking to play out. But what I would be looking for is the potential that this C wave and this E wave could actually bounce along this top trend line here. Now, we don't really have a bottom one here. I mean, we could try and connect from further back here, but it would just be guessing at this point, because with triangles, we only get this confirmation on this D wave here. So we need to just obviously wait for that to play out. The key thing here is that if we did have a triangle in this position, this would mean this was a B wave triangle. So instead of looking at this possibly as a flat looking for continuation down, what this would mean is that we could see a triangle here where this becomes A, B, and C, and we'd still be looking for that idea of coming back down and retesting this zone of this 95.75 to this 58.24. So that would be the idea here of this as a B wave triangle. If we have had a B wave and this is actually completed here, what we want to see is price action move up and start taking some of these swing highs. We want to take out this 163.53 and we want to take out this high point here of this 227. As long as we remain above this one particularly, we need to be cautious of that fact that we could still see this all as a B wave here and then looking for further rejection to the downside. Okay, so looking at this as a local range here, we can see that we have actually moved back above this point of control. This could actually mean that we could see a movement back up towards this 134.28. Now, this could tie into that idea of a triangle here. You know, we'd have to see exactly how the waves play out here. If we get a 5-wave move here, looking for this as a 2, and then 3, 4, and 5, then this could actually tie in with that idea of having a bigger move here as that bigger triangle potential. However, if we just see this as ABC and then we actually break down again for another 3-wave move, this would tie into that smaller triangle idea. So we'll be keeping an eye on this zone as 134.28. We could potentially see a reaction from this level if we do actually move up into this zone. Now, I do actually have a target box that is sitting up here, and within this target box here, we have some daily, monthly points of control, as well as the 0.382 of this move from this high point to the downside here. So what we'd be looking for here is that we do have a couple of levels within here which tie into this. Now obviously also we do have this potential swing failing this high here, which is sitting towards this 134.38. so I would keep an eye on this level here. We do have these zones here that I am keeping an eye on, obviously these individual levels of points of control here. These are naked points of control. So if we do move back into this zone, you know, potentially one of these could be a point where we could see a rejection off of, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. As well as that, we could also look at this range as a entire move where we're looking for the entire range here. So now what we can see is that we've actually come back into this point of control and we've started to move away from it again. Now obviously we do have, where we've got rejection off here, we can see that we have a little bit of a volume spike here. Now, if we do actually move up through this level, which would be here towards this 124 area, we can see that volume starts to have a little bit of a deficit here. So what we could see is that if we do actually move back above this zone, we could see price move quite quickly through this until it starts to come into some of these other levels where we have that volume picking up again. So if we did move back up here, I would be keeping an eye on these zones. Obviously that ties in with both the flat idea and the triangle idea, so we'll have to see exactly how the structure plays out, but this is just what I'm looking out for. If however we did actually see a bigger move to the upside here, it would be interesting to see how we react towards this previous high that we have here at this $228 level, because this would actually bring us back into this value area high, which would be quite an interesting zone to see if we get a reaction off of. So if we did have to push up here, I would be keeping an eye on this value area high. Now this wouldn't really fit into that count to the downside anymore. If we see a bigger move up into these levels, it would probably be more likely then that you know, we are looking at possibly looking to actually move up again in an additional C wave here, if that's the case. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.